I'm going to do a little bit of setting up, talk amongst yourselves, and I'll be with you in just a sec. Got to put the kettle on, make a cup of tea. I've been working on this one the last couple of days. I'll show you that one in a minute. Right, kettle's boiling. Soon have a cup of tea. Who we got in the chat? I can see GP Rider, Johnny Locks, Locksport, Dots Locks is here, and Chris Capoon as well. I've been on Friday. I was in the workshop. I was working on a few picks, and I've been working on a few picks from the box I showed you last week. Some of these ones here. So the workshop's in a little bit of disarray. So I'll make a cup of tea. I'm going to have a quick tidy up as well. Let me just show you the state of it. This is my table saw. I'm going to be using that in a minute. I've just been dumping stuff on it. Yeah, so I need to have a quick tidy up and then I'll be with you. The crazy card, he's shown up in the chat as well. Let's make a bit of room over here. There, a bit more sandpaper. How you folks doing today? I've got my cup of tea now. How's you folks doing today? Everyone good? The crazy card, 9 a.m. here in Washington. So yeah, up early to see me. Fantastic. I'll try not to disappoint. I can't promise anything. So yeah, what I thought we'd do today, so last week, let's just organise this tripod a little bit better, bear with me. Yeah, last week I did a bit of a workshop tour and we were working on some of these picks. Now, I did get one of them completely finished and I've got a couple of them finished, not quite finished, but getting much closer to being finished. I'll show you those now. So do you remember this one? Which was one of the ones we could have worked on last week. And I was saying with this shape here, this is obviously really rough. So I've shaped and polished the steel and then I've protected it with masking tape. And then I've roughly cut it, epoxied it, and then it needs like sanding down because obviously it looks shit at the moment. But I actually had another pick in there which was exactly the same shape as that, and that's one of the ones that I've been working on. So you can almost see, although it's different woods and it's a different tip, this one last week when we did the live looked exactly the same as that, and you can see it's been shaped quite well. So what I did, yeah, So I'll not show you on that side. Yeah, you can see the lines there. I just followed those lines and kind of scalloped it in a little bit so it narrows between each of those ridges. So it's quite a comfy pick actually. I think it's, yes, that way around. Yeah, so you sort of hold it something like that. And I think it's, yeah, that your index finger sits just there. It's quite nice on a custom pick to have that little ridge. It gives you something to kind of hold on to and grip as you pick. So this one here on Friday, I've got some yeah, I went up to about 400 grit on it. So we'll go through a few more grades, and then I'm hoping this one today we're going to get this completely finished. We're going to polish it up, and I've got some teak oil over there. So hopefully once that teak oil was soaked into that wood grain, it really brings the colours out, brings the depth of those colours out. So that's one of the ones we'll do today. This one here, I showed this one last week. So what we've got, this is Tam Booth. I've never used this wood before. I bought a few pen blanks off of eBay. This was one of them. Looks really nice. The grain on it looks really nice. So I roughly sketched this up, and I thought we'd cut this out today. And you can see there, I've already cut a slot into this one. So I use a Japanese pull saw for this. It's like really, really thin. And it's a little bit tricky to, try and get that in there. A little bit tricky to do a nice straight cut on this. Sometimes I cut them and fuck them up. But this one seems pretty good. So what we got there is a partial tang. And in the last few days, I've made the steel for it as well. So what I did, I just sort of roughly traced that shape onto the steel. I've cut all of this. I've put, I think it's a short hook on there. And that's all been polished up, that tip, so it's protected under masking tape. And then I shaped this. So I thought what we'd do today with this one as well is I've got a scroll saw, so we'll cut this shape out on the scroll saw. And hopefully we might be able to glue this one up. I'm hoping to glue a couple of picks up today as well. And what else have we got? So those were the two picks that we worked on last week. I haven't done anything more with those ones. They've just been roughly shaped and sanded. They need loads of hand sanding, and it takes ages, and it's really boring to watch because it's just me holding the sandpaper kind of rubbing away, and no one wants to see that, I don't think. But one of the other things I did as well in between time, where is it? I've got to go and find it, bear with. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, last week on the live, oh, there it is. Last week on the live, I was cutting out this steel blank. What was it? I think it was like a gem style tip. And this was just started off with just steel. And I cut the tip and I gave it a rough polish. And since then, Dot says, oh, just looking at the chat here, Dot says, I've got myself a belt sander after seeing mine. Need to get some sand belts, but he's halfway there. Good. These are really good, mate. I really like it. It'd be nice to have a little detail one as well. But I guess you can't have everything. I just tend to manage with what I've got. I'm a bit of a... I'd love to have really nice tools and a great workshop, but I've got limited space and limited funds, and I just make do with what I've got. But yeah, gets you some good results. So this one here, I also cut out this bit here, and it looks a bit weird, doesn't it? But the reason I did it, again, because when you hold a pick, like, you tend to put your index finger, a lot of people do, just there. So I figured if we cut this section out, and what I might do is today as well, if we've got time, is make some scales for this one, and we might even epoxy this one up and pin him as well. So yeah, I think it will look a bit weird. Sometimes I make picks that I think will look quite pretty, like a Harry Potter wand, like that one. And sometimes I just experiment, and might come out a bit goofy looking, but it might come out nice. We've just got to decide what blanks to put on this one. So anyway, that's the plan for today. So I think what we're going to do first is I'm just going to finish up this one. So I've gone up to 400 with this one. I'm probably going to go 600, 800, 1,000 grit and probably call it done there, because we're going to then move over and polish it with this wheel here, which I use for polishing wood. And I've got a little bit of 600 here, some wet and dry. Get a nice fresh bit off. And I think by the time you get to about 600 grit, so I put 80 grit on the bench sander and then 120 grit. Then I went 240 grit, 320 and 400. But with those higher grades of sandpaper, sorry, lower grades of sandpaper, so they're coarser, if you work it too much, you can start losing detail. But when you get up to 600, you kind of, at some point, you stop sanding and just start polishing, really. And what I'm looking to do is just get this steel really nice and shiny. Make sure there's no machine marks in there. The Crazy, he says, do you use Scotch-Brite pads at any point? I have seen them, I don't use them. I tend to use sandpaper, and then I go up to these micro mesh pads. These ones are a bit fucked, but they go from, I think it's about 1,500 grit to something stupid like, I don't know, 30,000 grit, or it's just really, really smooth, so you end up polishing it with those. Oh, Green Tools is in the chat, he says, where's mine? Actually, mate, the only pick that I finished for my last live was your one, so I'm going to show you that while you're in the chat, mate, because I think you'll appreciate it. I've just got to find it first. So last week, yeah, this was one of the ones Green Tools pick. I'm doing a trade with him, and it was one of the ones I finished. So last week, it was one of these rough-looking picks. Looked fucking awful like that. The steel would have been polished. But yeah, between last week's live and this week's live, I did this one here. So that's your pick, Green. I'm sending this out to you next week, mate. And there's the tip. He was asking about the tip. I was watching one of his lives the other day. So you got like a gem tip, polished steel, you got stainless steel pins, and then you've got this green wood on here. It's really nice wood, this one. I showed it last week. I got it off eBay. So it's dyed curly spalted maple. Apparently this came from Oregon. Bought by someone in the UK, and then he dyes it, and I think he puts it in a pressure chamber, and it kind of impregnates it with resin and dye and stuff like that. Just makes it really stable. So let me just show you this one, because this wood looks gorgeous close up. It kind of looks iridescent. I did a post on Reddit the other day showing this. You see there the way the shadows and highlights kind of move around. Reminds me a little bit of an acrylic. But yeah, really, really nice. So there you go, Green. That's the one coming to you, mate. I'm keeping him nice and safe. All protected in there. And I'll be sending it out to you. It's not made in China. It's made in England. I'll be sending this out to you. Probably get the postman to come and get it tomorrow. He's having his name embroidered in gold on the handle. Nice. The Joker says that's gorgeous work, D-Match. Thanks, I appreciate that. Dot says he needs to sort out a trade. Maybe for locks, my picks are shit. No, they're not shit at all, mate. I really like Dot's makes picks. He's been kind of making a lot of custom picks. But he's been making, as well as making custom picks like this, he's been getting like silver cutlery and that sort of thing. So it already comes with a handle and then shaping the tip down, and they look really nice, mate. I'm happy to do a trade, Dots. You got my email, mate. Just send an email over and we'll arrange something. So we're on the 600 here. To be fair, this one is feeling pretty good already. I might not go up too much further than 600. I've got that tip all protected so I don't go scratching that up. Some woods, they seem, I don't know a lot about different types of woods, which is funny because I use a lot of different types of woods making custom picks, but I do experiment a lot. And this wood just seemed to get really smooth really quickly, like it feels so soft. So it'd be nice to get this pick completely finished today, so I'll soak it in a bit of teak oil and then I can take this off and you can see the finished pick. I'll make sure I don't sort of sand wood dust into my tea. Yeah, the way I did the shaping on this, you see that sort of scallops, is I just use that radius on the bench grinder. You have to kind of eyeball it. You can't put it on like that, you've got to put it at an angle to kind of get it between those two ridges. It wasn't easy to do, it's not perfect this one, but I've got another one exactly the same design as this, so I'll be practicing with that as well. Dot says the one I made for Hozza was fire. Yeah, that would come out really nice, that one. If anyone in the chat hasn't seen that video, I obviously do YouTube videos as well, so I've done a couple of complete, start to finish custom pick builds. So that's starting with just a piece of steel like this and a piece of wood. And yeah, start to finish videos. I think that one for Hozza was, I think it was a two-part YouTube series. But that one came out really nice. That was acrylic, wasn't it? Acrylic's nice because you can get such a high polish on it. Like a lot of people would just sort of rough up this handle or just get it to it just feels okay. Probably about 240 grit. I do like to keep going though, because you keep going with it and it just gets smoother and smoother and smoother. And then hopefully you'll see in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, when we start polishing this one up with this pad here, it just, really kind of shines up. When it gets shiny like that and we put the teak oil on it, it really brings out the grain. Dot says the handle was the bollocks on that Hozza pick. It was quite nice, wasn't it? It was like which one was it? It was one of these designs, wasn't it? I took it out of. I think it was that one, wasn't it? It was that one, Dots. It looked a lot nicer than that. That's just a really rough drawing. I use like really rough drawings to start because as I sand it and work it, the design changes a little bit. So these are just really rough sketches. Yeah, this one's feeling really nice already. I get asked all the time how long it takes to make a custom pick. I really don't know because, as you can see from that, I do them in stages. I'll sit here and sand for a couple of hours, hand sanding, or I'll spend a couple of hours with a grinder, or I'll spend a couple of hours with a hacksaw, just kind of hacking away at steel. So it's difficult to say, but I think the vast majority of the time that I spend is doing this. So it's not very exciting. So we're only going to be doing a little bit of this today. I'll soon get on to a little bit of machining, something a bit more exciting than just watching me wiggle away with this 600 grit. Right, that was 600. Just going to look for some 800 grit. Got a bit there. I think I need to get some more of this. Go through it quite quickly. Dot says sanding is therapeutic. Yeah, I agree with you there, mate. It is a little bit. But I think you end up with getting repetitive strain injury, you know, because you just, I don't know. I need some sort of a better kind of setup for polishing with different grits. I don't know what else there is. I mean, you can doing the rough stuff with this and then doing the ultra fine stuff with this. But it's all this in between stages that you can't, I don't know, I've not found a solution for it anyway. So I'll keep telling myself it's therapeutic. When you spend a couple of hours doing this, really do feel it in the shoulder. I think I'm just going to do the sides with this 800, and it's feeling so smooth that we're going to go straight away to the polishing wheel. "93 people watching according to my screen, but only 10 people have liked it. What's going on there?" If you're watching and you like it, don't forget to hit that like button just up the top there somewhere. Always appreciated, and if you haven't subbed already, make sure to drop me a sub. I don't always sit here just sanding little bits of wood. I do pick locks as well as make pretty picks. Alright, this one feels really nice, so I think we're going to go for it. Cheers. So I've got two buffing wheels. This one is mainly for metal, and it's all gone black. Now, if I use that one to buff this pick, the pick will kind of go black. It will get forced into the grain of the wood. And the polishing compound I use on this, the metal polishing compound, is green. So yeah, the pick goes green as well. So we don't want that. So this one is just dedicated for wood. So just make sure there's no horrible metal bits of swarf or something in there. That'll do us. So yeah, the green compound is for metals, and we've got this brown compound for wood, so I'll use a little bit of that. I picked this one up, I got it from Machine Mart here in England, which is like, yeah, they just sell all sorts of tooling and stuff like that, so I went in there and picked this up. Seems to do quite well. It's the only one I've ever bought, but that will last me forever, I think. So after a little bit of machine polishing, look at that, nice and shiny. We're not going to call it done there. I think this stuff is yeah, this stuff here is a dedicated wood polish, meant for wood. But I also like to seal it in teak oil, so we're going to give this one a bit of a dip in teak oil as well. And that teak oil just penetrates the wood. I sound like an expert here, don't I? I'm not really an expert. I just make it up as I go along and I get some good results. But the teak oil kind of seeps into the wood. You want it to soak in there. And then when you're using it, the oils from your hands shouldn't seep into the wood as well and stain it. You appreciate if I was using this all the time, then this end down here that touches my skin is going to get quite dark because of all the oils that seep into it. So the teak oil should prevent that and just get it shiny. What do you think of that then? That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? Once you've got that polish on there, picks up those highlights really nicely. The Joker says 115 viewers and only 12 likes. You're watching an artist at work. Yeah, bloody right. Get up there. Hit the like button. GP Rider is in the room. He says it's already beautiful. Cheers, mate. It is quite nice. I'm pleased with this one. I've never done this kind of sort of sculpting on the handle before. So it's a bit of an experiment, really. I did it on Friday afternoon when I popped into the workshop. Anyway, let's get a bit of teak oil on it and make it even nicer. So this is the stuff I use: teak oil, superior blend, water repellent, natural. So it's not dyed or anything. Just going to make a little bit of room here first. Right, so the way I do my teak oil is just chuck, not chuck the pick in, you'll never get it out again, but just let it sit in there for a little while. I'm really making sure not to let go of this because it'd be a pain in the arse. If it fell into here, I'd have to open it up like a tin, you know, use a tin opener on it or something. But you want that oil to just soak into the wood. We're going to let it soak into the wood, and I've got this little stand down here. I'll just rest it on there, and then after about 20 minutes or so, I'll just come along and wipe off the excess. So with that oil on it, it looks amazing. You know, you've got that glossy finish. It won't stay like that. That's just the oil. But we do want that oil to really soak into it. Give it a bit of a shake. I've still only got 14 likes and 188 people watching. What's all that about? I did a video a while ago on my YouTube channel, the main channel. Well, this is the main channel, but it wasn't live, where I did a CA glue finish. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, CA glue is just super glue. We call it super glue in England. And the finish you get is like that. I brought some finished picks along actually today. I'll show you one that's got a CA glue finish in a minute. But you get that high gloss finish on it, and it looks really, really nice. Oh, 16 likes there, look, from Anna. So now I've just got this. This isn't going to drip anymore. You can see there already it's soaking into the wood. So I'm going to let that soak in. Let it just sit there for a bit, and I'll show you a couple of finished picks before we get on to making the next thing. This is the Moki case, by the way, for anyone who's interested. I was one of the first ones to get a Moki case. Funnily enough, I think I traded Moki for this case when they were still in, he was just starting to produce them. And I traded him for a custom pick, actually. So this one here has got the CA glue finish on it. And this one here is like a, I don't know, it's like a Battenberg finish. Can you see it's made up of 4/4. I said last week I tend to keep hold of all my offcuts, and when they get too small to be used for custom picks, I bond them together, and that way I can use, you know, you end up with like 2-tone picks like that, so there's just sort of zero wastage, or minimal wastage at least. Yes, this one here come out really well. I like this one. I built this around a Lawlock Valerian pick steel. So yeah, I just bought that from Lawlock the steel. Now, I did a video as well on the CA glue finish, and it looks really nice, but I did find, you see there, it's kind of milky. So I've used this pick quite a lot, and I just found that when it gets hit, I think that's where it's got knocked, it ends up being quite milky. And it kind of spoils the finish. You don't see it so much on a light wood, but you really notice it on a dark wood, which is a shame because it feels really nice, feels really slick. Comes out well, but I think I did about 4 or 5 picks with CA glue finish. And I think one of those, or a couple of those, I think I ended up sanding the finish off because it ended up looking a bit shit. So yeah, I've got all sorts of custom picks here. Let's have a look, see what we've got. That was quite a nice one. This is my take on the dick pick. You see it there? A little bit of a phallic tip on that one with a bloody great nutsack on it. And yeah, put it in that fancy handle. I just did it for a joke, really, just to kind of make some short video content out of it. I think I did a long format video just picking some locks. But it's actually such a really usable profile, that one. You've got that little ridge on it. It's kind of like a DeForest diamond. So yeah, I made it for lols, you know, just mucking about, but it actually is really usable. But I really like that shape. You got that kind of reach style tip on the pick, and you just got that nice curve that comes off it. This one was quite an early one. This is bog oak. I was talking about bog oak last week, so I think bog oak. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know better in the chat, because as I say, I'm no expert. But bog oak, once it's gone this colour, it's not dyed. It's just happened over time. It's like the early stages of petrification. So more than likely, this bog oak, when it goes that kind of shade of brown, is about 1,500 years old. Apparently, could be older than that. Could be like over 2,000 years old. It's amazing, isn't it? But you get that really nice rustic grain to it. Yeah, it's a nice one. Oh, we get disasters as well. Don't worry. I always show off nice picks, but there are disasters as well. This one here is just a kind of everyday pick. It's not too fancy. It's got a jarrah wood handle, and the tip. I got some steel from someone. I can't remember who it was, and they said the steel was Peterson steel. Now, I don't want to, you know, slag off Peterson at all because I didn't buy it from them. I'm not 100% if it was Peterson steel. But anyway, like with a normal sort of pick steel, it's very difficult to bend it. You know, you have to put a lot of pressure on to bend it, and it will spring back to where it was. But with that one, it's just, look at that. It's terrible, isn't it? What do you do with that? I think I was using this. If there are pickers in the chat, I don't know if everyone watching picks locks like me or not, but I've used this for the Smart Key Gen 3 because you have to use a very thin shim-like material to slide in and sort of hit the sidebar. So I think I used it to pick one of those, but you can see it's all a bit manky, isn't it? You can straighten it out again, but it's just not got that memory to it. It just doesn't spring back. I don't know if there's anything interesting in here. Let's have a quick look through. That one's quite nice. That's got a brass liner to it. It's the only one I've done with a brass liner. That come out quite well, and it gives it a little bit of extra weight, having that brass liner in. So you've got the steel, you've got the wood, and then you've got the brass liner as well. The Crazy Card says it's way too soft to be Peterson. I thought the same, to be honest. It's certainly not the same steel that Peterson uses in their picks, but I know that Peterson does sell blanks for pick makers like me. As I say, I don't know if it was Peterson. I was just told it was. But yeah, it was shit anyway, whatever it was. This is probably my favourite custom pick I've ever made. And I made all these ones I just made for myself. And this one I showed it off last week, so I've got some acrylic blanks here. I bought, this is just a sheet of acrylic, 3mm acrylic, teal colour. I bought off eBay, and that was the first pick that I made with it. But I just really like the shape on this one. And it's really comfortable to pick with as well. I kind of hold it like that. You've got that perfect place to rest your index finger, and the back of it just hooks over your finger like that. But yeah, really nice to pick with, that one. It was one of the first ones I did that didn't have pins. Quite often when you make picks, you put these pins through, so that brass goes all the way through and holds the steel in there as well as the epoxy. But this one here, it's the steel has been punched through, so the epoxy, when I glued it, in theory kind of went through the pick, and it's just kind of opening up a little bit there. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that there? The bond's just failing a little bit. I use it a lot to pick with, so it's seen plenty of use. August says he loves that colour. Yeah, me too, mate. It's one of my favourite colours, that. Anyway, we're not here to look at my picks. We're here to make some picks. Let's have a look at that one there, see how it's doing. So I dipped that about 10 minutes ago, didn't I? And most of that oil was sunk in. But you see we've got a few blobs on the surface. If I just let that sit like that, they're going to kind of solidify and will go sort of jellified and, you know, stick to the wood. It's not going to be nice. So now we've let it soak in for a little bit. I'm just going to gently, with a paper towel, I'm not necessarily mopping it all up, but I'm just kind of smearing it in, if you like. Just want to make sure we haven't got any of those little blobs. And all that, there's a few bits left on the surface, but that will just soak in. So I'm going to leave that there. I'll probably come back to it in about 20 minutes, half an hour, and maybe give it another dip. So let's get on with making a pick. I'm going to go for this one here. We're going to get the scroll saw, get it set up here, and then we'll see if we can cut the shape out. I bought this scroll saw a couple of years ago. When I used to make picks like this, I'd sketch it out like that, and then I'd just get a saw and I'd cut it on the saw as near as I could, and then use the bench sander to shape it all. But I figured it's going to be much easier with a scroll saw. And initially I didn't really get on with it. It took a while to muck about with the settings down here and get it so I like it. But one thing I don't like about it is this section here. It's probably good if you're working with big pieces of material, but when you're working with a pick, it kind of like gets a bit caught up here. So I'm hoping we're not going to have a disaster with this one, but we might do. This is live, anything could go wrong. Before we cut this out, if you look at this one, when I cut this steel out, the shape changed a little bit. As I said, when I do sketches, I start off with sketches like that. It's just a starting point. They won't look exactly like that when they're finished. It's all kind of in flux and the design changes a little bit. So you can see there, that's as far as the steel comes. So I just need to redraw the front of this and then we'll cut it out. So yeah, that's where the partial tang is. So we've got to get this exactly where it should be. On the bottom of that to line up with the pick. The good thing about the scroll saw is you can cut really close to these lines. It's just way more accurate than the way I used to do it. There we go. That's the sort of shape of our pick. Should look quite nice, I think. My tea's going cold. I'm just going to have a bit more of that, and then we'll get started. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this shape here and maybe make it an aluminium or something and kind of bond it in a little bit. And you see that pick, it just falls into that hole. So I think I need a bit more practice on the scroll saw. I'm not great at it, but as I said, it just gets away. Oh, I've got to do that bit as well. Gets away the bulk of the material, and where this looks really shit at the moment, once we bond in the steel and do all of that sort of stuff, we'll epoxy it up and then finish it on the bench sander like we did last week. So you can see like picks like that look rough as fuck, but that one looked the same last week. So I do all the fine shaping on the sander, but that just helps to get rid of the bulk of it. Let's just get this last little bit. Circa Nightmare. This hand, he says this handle shape is going to be sweet. Hopefully it will. Got some really nice grain in it. So I think, yeah, once we get that T-coil, once we get it finalised and get that T-coil on it, it's going to look mint, I think. Now you will notice on this one, I'm not great at cutting these tang marks, so that's where the steel kind of slides in, something like this. And you'll probably see it's off centre, but I always do my best with these tang lines. But when I cut them with the Japanese pull saw, for whatever reason, well, a lot of the time it just goes a little bit wonky. But yeah, these are happy accidents, people, you know, as Bob Ross used to say. And it just sort of adds to the creative design process. So yeah, I'll deal with all of that. I'll deal with all of any sort of rough shaping on the power tools once we've epoxied it. So we're going to put that in there like that. What pins do you reckon I should use for this one? I'll show you what I've got. So I've got some 3mm brass rod, so this is hollow. We could put a couple of those in. Or do you reckon stainless steel pins? This is 3mm stainless steel pins. Maybe put a couple of those in. I think I might go for that. You know, put one of them there and one of them here maybe. The Crazy Card says those saws have got a mind of their own. They definitely have. It's not user error. I'm completely skilled. I know exactly what I'm doing. Or we could go for this. This is like a really thin, I think it's a 2mm brass rod. Tell you what, I'm going to go for the stainless steel. The Joker says, use the same size blank to rest your saw on as a cut. That's a good idea. Sometimes I do that. I didn't in this case. Reason being I didn't do it just now is because I'm working with a camera right in front of my face. So whenever you do YouTube videos or lives or that sort of thing, if you're making something, the position of the camera is right where I want to be. So I'm making this and I've not got the best angle, the best viewing angle. The other thing is when I do that, I put the pins in first, so I drill it and then I drop the pins in, and I've done exactly as you've said, because I think that's probably the better way to do it rather than the way I've done it today. Is you put the pins in and you have them sticking out a little way, you make them oversized, and then you put corresponding holes in the steel, and then you slot the two together, and then you can use the edge of the steel as a sort of saw guide. So we want to cut these down around about sort of 15 mil, something like that. I'm just going to go over to the grinder and I'm going to radius this end because it's easier to do when it's in a rod like this rather than when I cut it off. So I'll leave you 2 secs. So when you've cut this off and when we're assembling it in a minute, when we epoxy it, just makes it easier to slide in. Jay Tatro says, have you ever tried using a wire blade on your scroll saw? It will give you omnidirectional cutting ability. Do you mean that like when you're doing internal curves like that one that I tried to do, you'd be able to turn a lot sharper? Is that what you mean? To be honest, I've got that scroll saw and it came with a bunch of blades and they're the only ones that I've used, so I'll look out for those if that's what they do. Oh, he says yes. So yeah, they're thinner blades, which just enables you to turn a bit better. I'll look out for those. Thanks for the tip. I appreciate that. So I'm going to radius this again, and I'm going to put a little radius on that one, which is the end I just cut. Carol Resnisek says hi. To Joker, yeah, like what jewelers use when making jewellery. Yeah, I just use the tools that I've got. You know, a lot of these tools, there's much better ones out there. But I've got limited space, limited budget, so I just use what I've got. And yeah, I seem to get some reasonable results. I'm just going to put a radius on that one and I'll be back. So that's the 2 pins there. You can see I've just put a bevel on the edge. So when it comes to pinning the steel in a minute, that will just slide really nicely in the wood. Intink12 says, what are you doing, friends? That was a really good question. I'm a lock picker and I'm making custom lock picks. Let me just show you one that I made, or finished this one up earlier. So these are made from scratch by hand. Start off with a sheet of steel and a piece of wood. I'll show you those quickly. I'll start off with wooden blanks like that. And then pieces of steel like this, and then I cut them into fancy custom lock picks. In fact, I'm going to show you the steel on this one and we'll do the full reveal. I'm probably going to soak it again in the teak oil. Oh, Jay Tatro says it's not really a turning thing, it's a round and roughed on all sides. So we're talking about the blade for the scroll saw. It can cut no matter what direction you push or pull. Oh, I see. So yeah, so at the moment, the way I was cutting them with a scroll saw, it's like the blade is facing me, the cutting edge is facing me. So I'm pushing into the material, but I could be pulling from the back or pushing from the side and it would still cut. So yeah, omnidirectional, really nice. TX Rebel, morning, do it to D-Mac. How you doing, mate? You all right? Just making some custom picks. We're about to do a little bit of a reveal on this one. So I've got one more soak to go in the teak oil, but I'm going to grab a knife. It's the easiest way to take this off, and we'll have a look at this one all finished up. So, that's the bottom of the pick. So if I slide our blade along, we'll do the final reveal on this one and then get going with the others. There we go. I couldn't remember what tip I'd put on this one. So we've got a short flat hook on this. See it there? Short flat hook. Polished up steel in that handle. I'm going to have a look and see exactly what wood this is. I do write it down. I've got a bunch of paperwork here and I tend to write down what woods I've used. I can't remember this one. It's a lovely two-tone wood though, and it's polished up really nicely. So yeah, one more teak oil dip, which we'll do now. And this one, we'll call it finished. Cheers GP Rider, cheers Dots. Come out nice this one. I'll let that soak in there just for a few seconds. Jean-Louis says, hi, how you doing? You all right? Does look nice when it's all glossy like that with the oil on it, doesn't it? Looks really nice, but you know, I like the sort of more natural finish. So when all this oil soaks in, it's just like a sort of matte finish, like a sort of sheen to it. Rock Allen says, hi, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. So we've got 343 people in the chat and only 43 people have hit like. So if you like the video, then don't forget to hit like. Do you know, it really, with YouTube, if you watch a video and you like it, you've got a content creator like myself. I do a lot of videos as well as lives, and people don't hit like. You know, YouTube just doesn't then promote it to other people. So smaller channels like myself, it really can be a struggle to sort of get the views up. Sometimes I make a video for the YouTube channel and really like it, and then I'll release it and it just doesn't really get as many views or as much interest as I thought it would. And quite often you get like, I'll get like, you know, a few thousand views and you'll get 100 likes, you know, but you get no dislikes. So it's not like people really don't like what I'm doing. Anyway, if you like it, then hit the like button just up there somewhere, because it just helps me out. It means that YouTube recommends my channel to other people who might find it interesting as well. Right, what are we doing? Clear a little bit of space. So we've got our pins. Now the pins are 3mm, so I've got to drill 3mm through this. Drill bit, I think that's the one. So before we drill that, we've got to punch the holes into our steel. I'm going to peel this masking tape back a little way. So this steel under here has all been shaped and polished. I don't want to risk scratching it. GP Rider says my content is always top notch. Oh, thank you, mate. I'll pay you later. You know that. So I'm going to make some rough marks where we're going to put the pins. So we want one near the front, don't we? That's roughly where the wood's going to end. So I want one kind of halfway between there and that little notch. So about there. And one, I think for aesthetics, we'll put it in line with that point there, I think. So for anyone who makes custom picks or wants to make custom picks, I've got a few videos. I talk about all the tools. I've got a few build videos. Go and check my channel out. You'll see all that on there. But a tool you really need, Dots, I don't know if Dots is in the chat, but he needs to get one of these. These, I've not got links for them, but if you just look on Amazon or eBay, there's loads of these. They're kind of generic, so it doesn't matter what makers you get. They all look the same. It's a cheap metal punch. Cost me about £15, but it's really, really good. So you've got the punch part there. Various different sizes there. I think it's a 2mm there, and that might be a 4mm. I think they do have imperial sizes down there, but my drill bits are metric, so. The Crazy Card says, you never know what video will do well. I did a video on silver 8 years ago and it somehow got 250,000 views. Yeah, it's not. It's like that. I've had a couple of videos that kind of go viral like that, and you kind of just, I think I did a couple on Instagram. I used to do loads of shorts. I haven't done shorts for a while. And I just knocked a couple out quickly and didn't even think about them, and they ended up getting like millions and millions of views. I think one of them on Instagram got like 14 million or something like that. It's just nuts, isn't it? And then you really try and make an effort with a video. Like I do my custom pick build videos, I put a lot of effort into it. There's loads of shots and editing and all sorts that goes on behind the scenes, and then hardly anyone watches it. Right, so I'm pretty much on that line I drew. I just want to make sure that I'm in the middle of the steel as we're looking at it there, which looks pretty good. I'm going to come back just a little bit. Difficult to do. I'm just going to do this off camera. I'll check it off camera. That looks pretty good there. So we just punch it there, and you get a nice clean hole going all the way through it. And that'll be for our pin just there. When I first started making custom picks, I was talking about it last week, they were absolutely shocking. You know, they didn't look nice and pretty like this one. And I tried drilling through steel. I didn't know much about it. I just make stuff up as I go along. And yeah, I just think I just had some HSS drill bits like this that I had in the workshop, and man, it smoked and it moved around all over the place, and it was just a real dog's dinner. So yeah, this tool, as I say, it cost about £15 plus postage and packing. There's loads of them on eBay. There's loads of them on Amazon. You don't need the link to this one specifically. They're just generic tools. Right, so we said in line with that tip, and we just want to be in the middle. I'm just going to check this off camera before I punch. All right, I think that looks good. So I'm just lined up on there, and it's just a gentle squeeze. Once you get these set up, because these the punch and die, I don't know what they're called. This one is adjustable. It's got a thread on it. That's a bigger hole there. You put it in. If you wind it in too far, you'll have trouble punching. If you don't wind it in enough, you'll probably bend the metal. I've got mine about 2mm up, just there, sort of about 2mm up like that, and it seems to get good results. I can do it just with one hand. Get rid of that. Yes, DeCrazy says stainless is a real pain to drill. It gets super hot. I think if you've got the, I don't know, mate. I'm not an expert. Perhaps if you've got the tooling for it, some really decent drills, decent setup, or a mill or something like that, it's not going to be too much of a headache. But yeah, for me, with my basic setup, it was a real pain in the arse. Okay, I need to double check now that we're going to slide this in. Be nice to get this one all bonded up today. I was hoping to get 2 picks bonded up, but I think we're going to struggle for time, so I'm just going to concentrate on getting this one bonded today. Just trying to get some sawdust out of here. It's not wanting to go in all the way, so I might have to do a little bit more cutting on this one. Should go in further than it did. I don't want to cut too far down, it's got to match the steel. Oh, I'll tell you what, it might not be going in. Where I've punched that, we've got a little bit of a rough edge there. Let me get rid of that. That's better, it's smooth now. Yeah, I'm going to just quickly get this in the vise. I'm just going to run that saw down a couple of times because I think there's something in there blocking it. There looks to be a little bit of a rough edge on there, so I'm going to file that as well. It really is quite a snug fit in that tang. Yeti Jake says, are you making a carving tool? No, I'm a lock picker. So I pick locks for fun, it's called Lock Sport, and I make these which are like custom lock picks, so kind of artisan bespoke lock picks. Just having a bit of fun getting this in there. It's getting there. I think what it might be, I'm not sure of the thickness of this steel, but it might be 23 thousandths, in which case it's a little bit thicker than the blade. So I think I have to just work this slot a little bit to open it up. And unique as well. Yeah, it's pretty unique. I mean, the custom picks and also Lock Sport, there's not many people that do it. If you look at my channel, there's all sorts of high security locks that I pick, and I pick basic locks, and I pick locks with, I don't know, bobby pins and hair grips and stuff like that, but I also make all the fancy stuff. So there's not a massive market for it. Lock Sport is quite a small community. There's probably only about, I don't know, 5,000 to 10,000 people around the entire world that are really into it at any one time. But there is a market for custom lockpicks. I'm just trying to open up this slot a little bit without butchering it. If we don't get it fitting right now, then when I get the epoxy on this, it's just going to make a real mess. Yeah, I think it's really tight down in that slot there. Oh, that's a lot better. You can see that's, oh, where's my focus? You can see that steel's not going to go all the way down there. I want it to sit all the way at the bottom. But the further it goes down towards the bottom, the more it drives these two sides apart. The other option is that I try and thin down this steel just very slightly. I think I might do that because I don't like that little gap there. I've got to have this steel sitting all the way down. Yeah, I didn't want to do that, but I've got no choice, so I've got to just roll with it. We'll keep our pins safe up there. So I've got some 250 grit there, that might do it. Just going to fold it together. Try and thin that, just thin that end down a bit so it's a bit like a wedge. The other thing it will do is rough up the steel so the epoxy will bite to it a bit better. I'll go for some 120 grit as well on that very tip. Just reading the comments there, you don't have to go out and get an expensive kit to start, just get a small kit and start there. The crappy Amazon picks work in a pinch, but they suck to use. I recommend going with a good company. Yeah, you can. I mean, I've just, I'm releasing a video on my channel tonight. Where I made a video just making a basic pick out of a hacksaw blade. And it's shit material compared to this, which is 301 high yield stainless steel. But in a pinch, if you don't have the money for it, with a file, you can, shape a reasonable little hook into this. So Crazy Card says, is it easier to do a full tang? I've never considered the difference. Yes and no. I think sometimes it's easy. I don't normally have to do this stage. I think the trouble with a full tang pick is you've got you've got the scales either side of the handle, and you've got to make sure everything lines up basically. Whereas with these half tangs, you don't have to worry about it lining up. But that said, cutting a fine tang slot like I've done there with these pull saws, I mean, I'm a bit shit at it. So sometimes it works and sometimes I fuck the blanks up. So I think for me, I think I find it easier doing the full tang. So full tang just means the steel goes all the way from the tip to the tail, and the partial tang, which we're making today, it just goes into a slot in the handle. So yeah, I think I probably find these easier, to be honest. There's a Locksport subreddit. I'm just reading Dactem Gaming's comment. There's a Locksport subreddit and Discord channel. Everyone is super nice. If you're stripped for cash, you can use old wheel and chip wheel. If anyone's watching and you're interested in learning how to pick locks, go on to Reddit. The LPU Reddit's fantastic. People are so friendly and they'll help you out. They'll give you advice on what pick sets to buy from manufacturers depending on where you are in the world. It's a very friendly community. Sounds nefarious because we're picking locks, but everyone's super nice. Really trying to fin the back of this piece to get it into the slot. Oh, that's got in so much better. So that gap we've got now is a lot smaller than it was. I'm going to keep working that for a bit. I reckon we'll be able to get it all the way in there. Yeti Jake says, yeah, this is cool. You've been awesome. Yeah, you'll find I've got various different hobbies. And some hobbies, like, people are really gatekeepy about knowledge and they're not helpful and they, you know, talk shit about each other. But that doesn't happen in lock sport. If you're interested in picking locks, go to the LPU Reddit, go to the LPU Discord, and you'll get, you know, if you're nice, you'll get all the help that you need. Especially if you're new, you know, they really help out new pickers. The crazy card, a blacksmith friend of mine makes knives. Amazing how similar the process is. Yeah, I've never made a knife, but I think it's exactly the same process. There's quite a few custom pick makers around the world that predominantly make knives, and they've got an interest in lock sport. And they make some amazing picks. Oh, I'm getting there. We're going to get some glue on this in a minute. Make a bit of a mess. The glue that I use is a 5-minute epoxy, but 5 minutes means it takes 5 minutes until it goes tacky. I'm currently in England. It's quite cold here, so it'll actually take a day or so to fully go off. You see that gap there? It's almost gone now. We're almost there, almost there. I'm pretty new to lives, actually, Yeti Jake, but I do like to respond to comments on my videos, and it's fun to interact with people in the chat as well. If anyone's got any questions about custom lock picks or even lock sport, you know, what is lock sport? Where do I go to learn it? Then pop a question in the chat and I'll try and answer it, or the other friendly folks will. That's right, the crazy card. Those 120 grit scratches are going to help the epoxy bite down. Usually I do scratch it up. Sometimes I punch extra holes into the steel that aren't used to actually pin it together like these ones are. But that just, you know, gives somewhere for the epoxy to go to hold it steady. Oh, I'm getting tired. I could probably do this on the bench sander, but I think it would take material off too fast. I want it to just be a nice, perfect fit. It's sliding in there really nicely now. It's close. Yeah, we're just going to go a little bit more. Yeti says, try sanding the inside of the handle slit with a more fine grip. I'm not going to do that. I appreciate the comment, but I've done that before. And I fucked it up. I'll tell you why. I'm just going to demonstrate with some 1000 grit because it won't take off material. So I think what he's suggesting is I put it like this and we file away at that, sand away at that slit. But what you can do is you can end up rounding the edges just here. And I've got a pick in a box buried somewhere that I got to this stage. I did that and I fucked it up. Number one, the gap was ended up too wide. And also it just put a radius on the outside edge. And I need that edge to be nice and flush to the steel. This is a good suggestion, but I haven't had much luck with it doing that in the past. If anyone's got any suggestions watching this and thinks, what the fuck are you doing? You're doing it all wrong, then do say, because I'm not an expert. I just make stuff up as I go along and sometimes get nice results. I learn as I go along. Every day's a school day, you know. So I'm really pushing down with my finger here on that tip. I'm trying to sort of round off that tip so it sits nice and flat. Daktan Gaming says, do you do single picks or full sets? I assume you make picks for people who want customs. Yes and no, mate. I don't sell my custom picks. I make. Let me just quickly show you. These are all custom picks that I've made. These are all finished. And I don't tend to sell them. I sometimes trade them with people because there's a lot of people in the lock sport community who do trades and that. And the only 3 I've ever sold is recently. It was about 6 months ago. I sent some to Covert Instruments because Covert Instruments is a lockpick manufacturer company, and yeah, they asked me if I'd send them some picks so that they could sell it. They sell rat yolks. It's great to be on the same listing as someone like Rat Yoke, and Killamaroo as well. He's another custom pick maker. That's looking pretty good, isn't it? So I sent 3 picks off to the States, and they sold out in a day. I was amazed at it, actually. So no, I don't do stuff to order. There are custom pick makers. If you go on to what is it, the LPU Discord, there's on the custom pick maker section. There's a lot of guys there that do make to order and sell them, but I don't. I've got. If anyone's interested, actually, I sometimes trade them. I'll send them to Covert Instruments. So for instance, this one here is probably going to end up going to Covert Instruments, along with a bunch of others. But I do have a Patreon, and if you join my Patreon, I do monthly giveaway draws, and this month's prize, or what is it now? 18th now. I do giveaways every month at the end of the month if you're a paid Patreon member. So it kind of like basically works like a raffle. I think it's like £5 a month, you know, to sign up for the Patreon, and I do giveaways every month. So sometimes I give away custom picks. Last year I gave away, I think it's about 5 or 6 custom picks to the Patreons, and I also give away, because I get sent lock pick sets to review on my YouTube channel, and I give those away as well. So I think, yeah, this month I'm giving away a custom pick on there. So if you want a chance to enter that, I do a draw at the end of every month, and you can enter that if you want. And yeah, I think next month's prize, it might be a multi-pick set. Don't quote me on that, but it's I've got a Lock Noob. Is it a Lock Noob set? I can't remember. It's a really nice lockpick set. Comes with dimple picks as well. That's probably the giveaway for next month. So if you do Patreon, or you want to kind of give me a little bit of support, then the Patreon is in. If you go over to my channel, wherever the link is for that, you can join up to the Patreon there. There's a link to it. Show me a bit of support, and I, show my appreciation by giving away custom picks and lock picks and things like that. Right, let's have a look at this, see if it fits. Oh, Dot says he won the Reaper set last year. Yeah, I sometimes, as I say, I get sent pick sets to review on my YouTube channel, and there's too many for me to keep, so I tend to give them away to the Patreons, and Dot's won the McNally Reaper set, really nice set. Right, I think we're there. It's not completely perfect, but once that's full of epoxy, I think we can live with that. So right, we solved that problem. So now what I'm going to do, what's going to be the best way to do it that way? So I'm going to get this in the position it needs to be in, which is pushed all the way in, lined up just in a little way. I don't want that steel to be sticking out. Sorry about the focus. I want it to be in a little way like that. And then I'm going to put a mark on the steel. Which side to do? Let's do this side. To Crazy Card, the Lock Noob set with the dimple picks is the most expensive set on the multi-pick site. I think you could well be right, but that's the set I'm giving away on my Patreon. So if anyone wants a chance to win it, you can enter the Patreon giveaways just for a month if you want. You sign up for a month, or you can let it run every month if you want to, and you'll be entered into my giveaways automatically. Or you can just sign up for a month, do the giveaway, and then cancel. Okay, let's make a mark. Can't see those very well, so let's put a bit of masking tape on it. I just noticed something when I was sanding it then. I've scratched the polished tang, look, just there. Something else I'm going to have to fix, which is annoying. It does mean I might not get around to epoxying it today, but I don't normally do things like this on video because it's such a pain in the arse having the camera in front of my face. Right, that's our mark to drill. So Crazy Cut says he bought the multi-pick 3-gauge set. It's a good set, but it's half the price of that set. That is a good set as well. I do like that one. I'm going to slide this steel in here just to keep that slot apart as we drill, just like that. I think these holes are slightly too small. I'm going to have to open it up a little bit. Rob Dubent says, I'd really like to try my hand at this sometime. That's why I'm asking. I don't know if you're seeing my questions. I've not seen any questions from you so far, mate. I don't know what's going on there. But if you want to enter them into the chat again, I will try and answer. Alright, there we go. We've got our pins, they line up. Man, I'm pissed off about that. Look at those scratches there. Can you see? Look at that. I'm going to have to polish that back out. Such a pain. All right, Rob says, did you have your profiles cut from a sheet or alter a pre-existing pic or use a blank? If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, mate, or just look through my previous videos, I've done several build series showing this process, obviously edited nicely. Goes through all the tools and how I do stuff, but I'll answer your question. So a lot of my pics, I think this one, I literally just sketched it out with a pen on the wood blank. So you start out with a wood blank like that. I sketched it out, and earlier on we cut it out on the scroll saw. But sometimes I use templates like this. So generally I'm about 140mm long, 40mm for the pick shaft, and I just sort of sketch them out on here, roughly at those dimensions. And then I take a transfer of this on some clear tape, put it onto the wood, and that's my guide to cut it out. But they vary a lot from this. They start off looking something like that. I think that one there may have been, yeah, it's pretty close to that. It's not quite the same, is it? So yeah, I've got various sketches in here. Is it one of those ones? That one there? No, it's sort of similar to those. Yeah, but anyway, I just sort of sketch stuff out like this, find something I like and start it that way. This one's looking nice now. That's all finished. All that oil is soaked into it. Really nice. Really pleased with that one. Well, I'm going to do a quick assembly of this one. I'll just get rid of any shit from our drilling just now. Slide the steel in. And see if these holes line up. Yeah, I think they do. Not quite. Why is that? I've got to just cut this down a tiny bit more. Oh, so close, so close. They do look like they line up. I'm just going to eyeball this off camera. It's just such a tight fit. I mean, that's a good thing. You want it to be a tight fit, don't you? But what we don't want is problems like this when we get the glue going, because we've only got 5 minutes before it starts setting. So I'm going to cut that tang slot just a little bit more with a saw. Is this going to be it? Is this going to line up? I don't normally have this much trouble with a pick. I think it's because I'm filming. There we go, we've got one through. It's actually quite loose now. Oh, there we go. Man, that was a bit of a battle. Oh, so that's it, roughly assembled. Now, at this point, I was going to get the epoxy out and we could have glued this one together, but I'm going to have to sort these scratches out, which is a pain in the arse. Yeah, they're quite deep. I'm going to have to deal with that, unfortunately. Now we did all this. We did some steel polishing last week on last week's live. So I didn't really want to repeat it, but I guess we've got no choice. Troubleshooting as we go, GP Rider. That's it. Happy accidents. All right, 1000 grit. Some 600. $400. Just need some 800 now. There we go, got some 800. Oh, it's a real pain in the arse. Because you know what? The only way to get rid of these scratches now is to just scratch it back up and then work it all back out again. Yeah, that was our nicely polished tip that I was trying my best to protect, and you can just see the end of it. I've caught it with sandpaper. It's just there. It's just that tiny little bit there. But I can't be having that. So let's go. I'm going to try just using the 600. I'm going to get some water first though. If we're lucky, we'll get away with it. Yeah, they are 120 grit scratches, multiple stages, big pain, exactly. Yes, you're right. I was kicking myself when I saw them. I think some things like this happen all the time, but I think, as I said earlier, when I've got a camera in front of my face and I'm sort of talking to you guys as well, that's how mistakes happen, isn't it? I think they just caught the edge of that 120 grit, so we might be lucky. Seems a shame to scratch up a nice pick there, but it'd just be nice to get it epoxied today as well, you know, so we can look at it on the next live stream, make it look pretty, you know, work it up to that kind of finish next time. Hey, Tequila Dave just showed up in the chat. How you doing, Tequila? I'm just dealing with happy accidents, mate. Happy accidents. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I can't see him anymore. We might have got away with it. We're not going to find out until we've gone for a few more stages of sanding, unfortunately. So we've got 320 people watching at the moment. I've got 68 likes on this live. So if you're enjoying it, just hit the like button. Won't cost you anything. Helps me out. Lets YouTube know that people like what I'm doing. Tequila Dave says, artificial intelligence will never be a match for natural stupidity. That is a good saying, Dave. I like that one. Definitely true of me, at least. All right, what do we have? That was 600. We wanted 800. I've got some 800 here, but it's a little bit used. I'll see if I can find a better piece. I've got some here that's a little bit better. I really need to get some more wet and dry. It's on my shopping list. But in the meantime, I'll manage with what I've got. Make do, what we do on this channel. So we were just about to epoxy Tequila Dave. You've just joined us. We were just about to epoxy this, and I realised that I polished this up previously, and I ended up scratching it up. So I'm sanding it back now. Trying to sand those scratches out. All right. We'll do the 1000 grit, and then I'm just going to bang it on the polishing wheel. And hopefully we'll see if those scratches are still there or not. I'll tell you something I've got to be careful of. I was a bit stressed because I made that mistake. And if you press too hard at this stage with your tip, because it's really quite fine. You end up rounding it, and your picking tip, it kind of becomes really thin and almost unusable. So I've got to concentrate on what I'm doing a little bit. I don't want to put any pressure on the tip, which is just there. It's not good to put pressure on your tip, apparently. Could cause you a lot of problems. Tequila Dave says wet and drying a book helps you keep from stabbing yourself. Yeah, sometimes when you're doing this, pulling it in and out, you can pull it out and then jam it into your finger. I do it this way. I find it easy to do it this way rather than in a book. So what Tequila Dave's saying is you can put this in a book and then the pages of the book hold it together at an even pressure. But when I'm doing this, mate, I'm alternating the pressure on my finger as to where I want to, have the most effect. So the scratches were just here, and you're not able to do that in a book. So I prefer kind of doing it this way. But yeah, doing it in a book is good. I'm not sure how doing it in a book works when you're making it wet though, because then the whole book's going to get soggy, isn't it? So I did try that years ago, before I was making proper custom picks. Right, I'm going to polish it. I'm just going to see where we are with that. We'll see if we got away with it or not. If we got away with it, then I'm still going to have to go back to the wet and dry, because I like to go right up through the stages before I get properly to the polishing wheel. So there's a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, just helps to get rid of that polishing compound, so I can see what we're left with. Yeah, those scratches are still there. That's a shame. Yeah, they've just gone too deep, because I can't remember, you said in the chat, didn't you? It was 120 grit that caused those scratches. So we're going to have to step back. I'm going to go probably 120 maybe, 240. Let's go back to 240. What a pain in the arse. Hammy69 says, where do you get your polishing blocks from? I bought that one there, that's for metal, that one's for wood, from a shop called Machine Mart. I don't know if you're UK or US, but yeah, it was Machine Mart that I got it from. They do all sorts of machine tools, and I don't know if they're any good. I mean, I've been using them for a while, and they seem to be all right. All right, the deepest scratches are on this side, just there. Oh, I wonder. Let's have a look. Just going to get this in the light so I can have a proper look at it. I think we might be all right, you know. I think we're pretty good. The marks that I was looking at are actually between that hole and the end here. Yeah. There's just a little bit, there's a tiny bit of it. So I think I'll go, where did we start just then? We started at 400, didn't we? No, I didn't go to 400. So I'm going to go 400, 320, 600, 800, 1000, and we'll polish it all the way back up. That was good. I thought I'd have to go all the way back to sort of 240 or something and really scratch this up. Yeah, so by the time we've done this 400, this is cutting into that steel. I'm being careful on the tip. This should get rid of those scratches completely. Yes, the crazy card. They see they're almost gone. I can still see them just a tiny little bit. So I'll step back to the 400 grit. But I think that we're looking pretty good. It's not the most exciting thing to watch me polish some steel by hand like this. If anyone's wondering why you're watching a live with someone doing that, I was about to glue this into this handle and I fucked it up. I scratched the steel, so I'm dealing with my mistakes now. Tequila Dave says, tell us a joke. I don't know, mate. My skills are a bit of a joke. I don't know. I hate making mistakes. I make them all the time. I know that you're probably used to, Dave's told me off before for making slick Hollywood YouTube style videos. And I do, mate. I like a bit of, I have fun with the video production on my normal YouTube channel. But I do make lots of mistakes normally. Fuck it up. Right, that was the 400. Let's go for the 600 now. That's still wet. $230 people watching and I've only got 76 likes. What's all that about? Are those people asleep? Do they really not like it? I don't know. If you like it, then hit the like button. Lets YouTube know that what I'm doing is appreciated by someone somewhere in the world. I can't see them scratches anymore. But trouble is, you don't get to see them until you've started polishing it up, so it's like a mirror. That's when you see whether you've got to go back a step. Sometimes with these custom picks, particularly when I'm doing this for acrylic, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You polish it up a certain amount, and then you look at it and you see imperfections in it. And the only way to deal with those is to go back a couple of stages. So yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Right, that was 600. That's our 800. It is looking better. It is looking better, Tequila Dave. We're getting there, mate. I reckon in about another 5 or 10 minutes I can get the epoxy on. GP Ryder says, I think once you start working the tip, you'll get more likes. This isn't OnlyFans, mate. Fucking hell. Working the tip. Tequila Dave, have you ever made a knife? I've never made a knife, Dave. It's the same process, though, I believe. There's a lot of really nice, really good custom pick makers that do make knives as well, as far as I know. So yeah, it's all. I think it's exactly the same transferable sort of skill. The only difference is, as a lockpick maker or a picker, you need to know, that your tip is going to work. The shape of the tip is really critical, obviously. So I guess you've just got to have knowledge of what tip shapes work well. But yeah, as far as putting the steel into a handle, it's got to be exactly the same, isn't it? All right, that's 800 done. Let's go to 1,000. Forged in Fire is great, Tequila Dave says. Is that a channel that does knife making then? I've not heard of them. Hammy says, hi from Canada. I will give you a like for your channel. Cheers, mate. I appreciate that. If you're interested in lockpicking, mate, don't forget to subscribe as well. I do as well. Most of my stuff on my channel is picking locks. I also do little build videos in the workshop. Yeah, it does. It makes all the difference, Stu. Well said, mate. It makes a big difference if there's YouTube channels that you watch and you like. Even if you don't want to get involved in the chat and commenting or anything like that, makes a big difference if you hit the like button. YouTube then recommends stuff to other people who are going to like it as well. I didn't really realise that as much until I kind of became a creator myself. I always used to just lurk in the background and watch YouTube videos, not get involved. A little bit more on the 1,000 grit. All right, I'm getting bored of doing it. That'll do us for the wet and dry. But now we've got to move on to the micro mesh pads. So these go from, I think they start about 1,500 with that one there. And they go right up to this one, which is like super soft. This will only take a couple of minutes. Not the most exciting thing to watch, but once I've got this out of the way and we've got rid of those scratches, I'll get this pick epoxied in, so you'll see that part of the process as well. And that probably takes us full circle, because I think last week we started, with rough picks like that had been epoxied. So once we've epoxied this one I'm making there, we'll be at the same stage. So you can, I think this is Lawlock tool steel, and I've got some other steel. We made a few picks with this. This is comes from a guy in the UK from Sheffield, 301 high yield stainless steel, and this stuff polishes up so well. It polishes up so quickly. I don't have to go through all of these steps. With the Lawlock tools steel, it is great, it's strong, but there's like a grain that you can see in the steel. You won't see it here because I've sanded it all, but you get like a grain in the steel, and it doesn't give you that mirror finish as quickly as this stuff does. So unfortunately, it just means we've got to go through this process of these micro mesh pads. I'm not going to go all the way up. I'll probably go to about 5 or 6, I think. That's enough. Tequila Dave says it doesn't have to be a mirror finish, but it all helps. You're right, mate. It doesn't, as far as like from a tool point of view, this is a tool. It's designed to pick locks. So I think it helps if the pick is just sanded a little bit, maybe up to even like 800 grit. But I like them to look all polished and swanky, like that one there, you know, takes a hell of a lot of work and sanding and all the rest of it to make it look really nice. So the custom picks that I'm making here are more, they're not for show. I mean, some people just, you know, put them on a little stand and don't use them, but I've got a lot of custom picks that other custom pick makers have made, and I don't use them daily like I do with my normal picks, but I do use them occasionally. I'm not afraid to use them. They're a tool after all, so they're designed to be used. Hammy says, do I sell my picks? No is the answer. I've made loads of picks over the years. I've sold 3 of them, and that was last year at Covert Instruments. I tend not to. I tend to trade them, give them away. I don't do it to make money from it. You know, if you work out, you know, like an hourly rate from what it takes me to make custom picks, you can't make a profit at it. You know, you'd be charging like, I don't know, 500 quid or something. No one's gonna pay £500 for a lockpick. Or maybe they will, I don't know. Hammy says, do I gift them? Yes, I do gift them. He says lol, he's joking. He wants me to gift him this one. I gift them sometimes, mate. I don't like, you know, people have asked me, oh, can I have one of your picks? I like to gift them to people that make a difference, you know, pass it on. Spread the love. So sometimes there's people in the lock sport community that kind of go above and beyond, help new pickers, do cool stuff for other people, and you know, I'll send them a little gift, because other people in the lock sport community have done that for me in the past. So you know, it's just passing it on. But there probably will be some more up for sale on Covert Instruments soon from me. You might have seen some of those in this video or the last live video. And I also give away my picks on my Patreon page. So if you wanted to support me on Patreon, then you will automatically be entered into my monthly giveaways. Sometimes that is custom lock picks that I've made. Sometimes it's other lock sport related things. So I sometimes give away sets by Multi-Pick, Covert Instruments, Moki, Lawlock, RWB Customs. I've given away his stuff before. Just a way for me to show appreciation to, you know, people that want to support me on there. But it's entirely up to you. No one's got to do it. It's just where are we looking now? It's pretty good. I can't see those anymore. So let's move over here to the polishing wheel. And this is the metal polishing wheel. Right, I think we got it. Let's just have a look at that. So we had a load of scratches just here. That's what I was trying to work out. But they are all gone. So we are good to go. Now, before I have any more happy accidents, I'm going to get some masking tape on this to protect it from future scratches. GP Rider says that set is a solid choice. Which one's that, mate? The multi-pick one. Do you mean my set that I did at multi-pick or other ones? Oh, the set I curated with them. Yeah, I had a lot of fun putting that set together. That was a good little project. That it's difficult to do because you want to put all of the tools in there. I wanted to put the multi-pick flags in for sure. But there's only so much room in the case, so you've got to really think about, what to put in there and what not to put in there. Right, we have got that masked up. So on to the next stage. Tequila Dave, great to see a city rake half diamond keeping things old school. Yeah, it's nice to have a few rakes in there. I'm not averse to rakes, but some sets have too many rakes in for my liking. Some people are really, into the raking. I like a little bit, but I prefer single pin picking, mate. I was about to start setting up to glue this, but we've got one more stage to go. So basically, when you put this in and you glue everything together, all the glue kind of splurges out everywhere and looks like this. And the only area I want to protect is that bit just there. Because if you let all that epoxy kind of splurge out there, you'll never get rid of it. You'll end up scratching that tang again, trying to sort of scrape it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish this part of the pick, just that very, very tip. We're going to finish it and then mask it. And then when we epoxy everything together, the blade's protected and that part of the pick will be protected. So I'm going to quickly do that now. I wonder if we'll get away with just some 240 grit on there. You see that's nice and flat now. So it's just nice and smooth now, so that'll be protected until the pick's finished, I think. A little bit more with a 400. Yeah, it's nice and smooth. So a lot of this wood will get worked down anyway. It's just that very bit there where the tang slot is that I'm worried about. Right, do a little bit of masking and then we can get the epoxy out and start making a mess. Yeah, you don't want to sand, you don't want to be trying to sand this area once the epoxy is on. Not worried about anything else, just that very, very tip. Difficult to do this with a camera under your nose, I tell you. Okay, that's masked up now. So now we need to put this in. Pop the pins in. And then I can cut away the excess masking tape. But once that's done, we can epoxy it, I promise. We're almost there. That front one's really loose and the back one's really tight. Right, so the pins are locked in. That's where our blade's going to sit. So I'm going to get a new scalpel blade. This one's a bit shit, nice and sharp, and then I can cut there and remove the masking tape that's currently inside there. Once that's done, we'll get the epoxy out. Helps to have a really sharp blade to do this bit. So all that steel you can see there will be inside the pick, inside that tang slot. Get rid of the polishing compound in there because that might stop the epoxy going off. That's what I'm going to use to mix up the epoxy. It's just a PVC disposable. And then to clamp it, we've got these little bulldog clips. They just provide, you know, reasonable amount of force just to hold everything together. Let me just go and get some gloves on because I don't want epoxy all over my hands. Right, so we've got a 5-minute epoxy. It says it sets in 5 minutes, but it doesn't set in 5 minutes. Like after 5 minutes or 4 minutes, depends on the temperature as well. It's quite cold here, so about 5 minutes it'll start getting, you know, really tacky. But I'm going to leave this to dry for like 48 hours. It's quite cold here in the UK. I think it's about 9 degrees today. We'll grab some paper towel to deal with the excess as well. Right, I think we're ready. Once we start, there's no backing out, is there? Okay. PPE and ventilation, obviously, Tequila Dave says. I'm just in a workshop. I don't think it's too dangerous, this stuff. And it's only a tiny little bit that we're using. It's just like a, you know, most of this gets squirted out anyway. But gloves, definitely, mate, 100%. It's a real pain in the arse if it all gets all over your skin. Right, we need a really good mix up of this. If you're doing a full tang one, obviously you'd use a lot more epoxy than this. Ooh, don't drop it. Right, there's no going back now. This one will be stuck. So we've got everything covered on there. We've got to try and work this glue into this tang slot, which isn't easy because as you push it in, it all kind of comes off. So you just kind of want to work it back and forth and round, being careful not to interfere with that masking tape line we put on. We're trying to just work it into that tang slot. Get some more on there. It's difficult to know, you know, when it's ready. But I just work it for a while until it kind of feels that that glue has been pushed in there. That feels pretty good to me. So now we've got to line these pins up, that's the difficult part. This is why I wear gloves for this part. Alright, that one goes in really easily. And this one was kind of a little bit problematic, wasn't it? It looks like it's clear. Of course, if I push too hard on this, you could punch out the other side of the wood. Don't want to do that. Oh, there we go. That one's gone in as well. So we'll get rid of the excess epoxy. Very important, you know, that little line there that we've masked off. because once this epoxy dries, it's rock hard. You saw me in the last live when I was sanding it off. I like to use the corners of these as well to sort of, you see when I push it there, that epoxy comes out. So I'm going to use that corner just to get in there nice and tight. Take that excess epoxy away. All right, let's get this one clamped. And we've only got a partial tang on this one. When you've got a full tang, you obviously got clamps all over it, haven't you? That should be about right. And any more glue that's come out of that, where the shaft meets the end of that pick, end of the handle, sorry. Just want to make sure that's all nice and clean. All right, I think that looks pretty good to me. It's just a shame that when we were sanding that, if you're watching it earlier, my little happy accident caused me like another 45 minutes of work before we could get it epoxied. So that's the pick. I'm going to leave that for a couple of days. As I say, it's quite cold here in England at the moment, and it's cold in my workshop, so I'll just leave that for a good couple of days hung up on my wall there. And then I'll come back to it in a few days and it'll look something like this one, which is one that I prepared earlier. So it doesn't look pretty at all, you know, it looks pretty rough. But let me take these gloves off, get rid of all this epoxy. But then once we start doing all the final shaping, you get some really nice results. So this was a pick that we finished earlier. Tequila Dave says, have you seen Wes picks applying CA glue? Yes, mate, I've watched that video. It's really good. Oh, just throwing that finished pick around. I've got a CA glue pick earlier that I was showing off, and I said I really liked it. I followed Wes's tutorial and I got some good results, and then I did my own video for it on my YouTube channel. And although it looked really good, I found that when I dropped the pick, where I had little impacts, the CA glue kind of went milky. Let me see if I can find the pick and I can actually show you it. I'll get rid of all this wet epoxy so I don't get it on anything else. So in here is a bunch of finished custom picks. And these are ones that I've made, most of these I've made myself. Some of them, there's some other makers in here as well, I might show you those. But the CA glue one was this one here. So this was made using Wes's tutorial. And it's all right on pale woods, but can you see there's like a milky patch. And just there as well, there's a milky patch on that dark wood. And I think it's where it's been hit if I've dropped the pick while I'm using it. And it just goes milky, and I'm not really sure what to do about it. If anyone knows the reason it does that or any way around it, I'd be grateful to hear. I was talking to Lockpicking Dev a couple of weeks ago about it, actually, on the LPU Discord, and he said if the wood's porous, then it's worse. So if you've got, you know, really dense wood like ebony, it doesn't happen so much on. I can't remember what woods are used in this, but they're kind of porous. But anyway, so I did a few picks after I did that tutorial on my channel, and this is the only one that's remaining. I think I gave a few of them away, and the other ones I ended up sanding them back and just went with a normal, you know, my normal sort of oiled finish, because that's pretty robust. And it doesn't look as nice as that glossy finish, and the glossy finish feels nice as well. But yeah, I just really didn't like the fact that it did that. Yeah, it might be air, Tequila Dave, could well be something to do with the density of the wood. That's what Lockpicking Dev thought it might be. I'll show you some of these custom picks actually, because there's a few from different makers. That's one of my very first custom picks. This is a Sparrows SS Dev, and I've just epoxied on these handles, so it's pretty rough, but I was really pleased with that at the time. That one there is a Valerian Euro that I've put handles on, like an everyday pick, really comfortable. Got quite a lot of those. This one here came from Kicks Picks in Egypt. We did a pick trade years ago. I really like his handles. Yeah, this is a full tang, but they're almost stick-like. You know, I tend to go for, you know, I'm quite particular about everything being symmetrical and that sort of thing. But Kicks is a more organic, and I really like it. It's like a Harry Potter wand. Got a couple more Valerian Euro picks there. This one here I bought from Matt's Lockpit years ago. I really like the shape on this one. It tapers right down. Crow Llama says, "Show the Richard pick." I'm getting to it. It's just there. He spotted it. I'll get into that one. Yeah, really nice, this one. Nice usable pick. That one there was from Matt's Lockpit as well. That's a Valerian Euro. Nice and usable. This one came from Picksmith. I've not seen him in the chat, actually. So this is a Valerian, what are they called? Ridgeback. Valerian Ridgeback pick. And he's hand filed all of these cuts out. I've got some Valerian picks here. Let me just grab them. I'll show you what that steel looks like before I put the handle on. So this is the Lawlock Valerian set, and when you get it, it's just bare steel. So it's very thin, very flexy, but it's nice and cheap, and you get a whole bunch of really good hook profiles. But it's got that kind of iconic shape, and what Picksmith did is he took the wood and then bonded it on there, and then he drilled through and he hand filed each of these grooves, which is a hell of a lot of work. Hell of a lot of work. We did a pick trade a couple of years ago. Not sure of the wood on this one. I think I tried it after seeing Picksmith's pick here. I did it on one pick. I think I put these holes in. I didn't do those ones because it took me hours and hours of, you know, just filing away, you know, trying to get those holes. So yeah, really, really nice that is. Yeah, he also did the ridges, Tequila Dave. Yeah, so the ridge back has got those ridges for your fingers like that. So he's even carved the ridges into it. Phenomenal work. Really, really nice pick, that. And it's got the scimitar profile. I know you like that one, Tequila Dave. All right, so then we've got the dick pick again. This is my take on the dick pick, which I made for lols, really. So you've got this really long shaft with, I guess you'd call it a deforest tip on the end. Interesting shape, and then you got this massive nut sack there. I didn't model this on me, don't ask. I think I did it actually. Was it that pick I was looking at? Yeah, the profile is really like this one from Lawlocks. You see it's got that curve. The reach and curve set, really nice profile actually, and this one it was surprisingly useful. I just made it because I could, just for fun, and I did a few shorts with it, did a few YouTube videos with it. But it's actually a really usable pick, and I really like those curves. Very, very comfortable as well to sort of, you know, pick with, even though it has got comedy value. I've got a couple of Harry Bows here. So Harry Bow sent me these years ago. I don't know if these are Lawlock Valerians. They could well be. They look like the similar profiles. And he's put these handles on it, and then he's used epoxy resin on the bottom, and he's inset these locks into it. Really nice. You've got padlocks on that side, and you've got keys on the other side. So they're just that bottom end of the pick handle is epoxy. Really nice, isn't it? What have we got here? So then we've got that one there, which is the one I showed you with the CA glue finish. And that's a Battenberg design, so you've got like 4 quarters that make up the pick. A little bit fiddly to make, but come out really well. These ones here I bought from Matt's Lockpick years ago. These are the first custom picks that I ever owned. And I looked at those and I was just blown away at them. This one's got like a G10 liner in it as well. So you've got wood on either side, then you've got an inner sandwich, a G10 liner, and then you've got the steel. I think they're Valerian Euros. But yeah, really nice. I was blown away when I got those. It was way before I started making picks anyway. That one there is the only one I've ever done that's got a brass liner, and that brass liner adds a lot of weight to it. The profile was a little bit shallow for me. I made it as an everyday pick, but yeah, it's not had as much use as it could have had. And the wood is two-tone as well. You got, I can't remember what it is. I think it's walnut on the top and shisham on the bottom. But yeah, nice little pick. That one there is one of the first ones I ever made. I made 3 picks. It's quite bulky really compared to what I do now. Compare it to the one we finished today. You know, I refined my technique quite a bit. But this one, the profile on that is really usable as well. I've picked a lot of Assa 600s with that. And it's quite comfy as well, quite comfy to pick. I think Lockpicking Dev makes a lot of profiles like that. When I was first making custom picks, I was looking at other custom pick makers, and I'll say I was paying homage to them, but I was probably copying them, you know, because I didn't, you know, understand how to sort of make them myself. So imitation is a good form of flattery, they say, and I think that's what I was doing, just to sort of learn my way around it. Oh, I didn't show that one off, did I? That's a bog oak one. Partial tang. Really nice and comfy, that one. Do like the bog oak. And moving on, the last 2. We've got this one here. That's my favourite custom pick I've ever made. I've used it loads and loads and loads. Really comfy to use. Acrylic handle, no pins in it. But it is coming apart. I was showing this earlier. It's coming apart a bit at the end. Because I think that was the first pick I made that didn't have pins. So you've got to drill holes in the steel. So the epoxy has got something to grip the steel with. But I really love that pick. And I got the best compliment on this pick ever. I think I might get it etched on my tombstone. So talking about custom pick makers, obviously Rat Yoke's the best by far, by a long shot. Rat Yoke is he's a silversmith, jewellery maker, so, you know, proper craftsman, not like me who's just making it up as I go along. But he did an interview with Lockpicker 1969, just talking about, you know, how he got into lock sport and making picks, etc. And Lockpicker 1969 asked him, is there any other pick makers that have, you know, that he likes? And he said, he mentioned this pick, he mentioned me and mentioned this pick, and that was such a compliment that Rat Yoke thought it was a nice design. Because that was one of the first ones that I was trying to be original. I don't know if there's any other pick shape like that. There may well be. There's nothing new under the sun, so they say. But I designed it from scratch. I hadn't knowingly copied anyone, but I really like that profile. And lastly, you got that one, which is just a short hook that I made with acrylic handle. Again, this one doesn't have any pins in, but I think I'd perfected the way to get it to bond. Without getting it split down the end, because there's no pin holding it together. Yeah, so there you go, there's some custom picks there. So I think what I planned to do today was actually epoxy 2 picks. I wanted to finish that pick up there. Don't want to get any wet epoxy on that one. I wanted to finish that one, which we've done. That's great. And I was going to epoxy 2 picks, and we've only managed 1. And it's taken me hours and hours and hours, but that's the way it goes when you've got a camera under your nose. So I'm probably going to finish up there. I don't know if anyone's got any questions about lock picking or custom pick making. I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up. But if you've got any questions, bung them in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll be here for another 5 minutes or so. So if you've got any questions, anything you want to know, anything I can help you with, just leave a comment and I will answer your questions. Thanks for watching. Oh, cheers, GP. He says, I've been awesome. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot. Cheers to Killer Dave. It's fun to do. I quite like doing the live streams, so I'm probably going to do more of them. No problem, Stu. Thanks for watching, mate. Tequila Dave says, name your favourite child. I best not do that. I'll get into trouble because my wife was watching earlier. I mean, my favourite custom lockpick in front of me. It's got to be that one, mate. As I say, it was great that Rat Yoke, mentioned that one, that he'd sort of noticed it. That was fantastic, considering the quality of picks that he makes. But aside from that, it's just really comfortable. I designed it. I've got a bit of a goofy grip. I've said this before. So years ago, I do mountain biking, and I was jumping on my mountain bike, and I had a really bad landing. I shattered my wrist. You can see the scar there. Looks like I've tried topping myself, but I didn't. I had 2 surgeries on it. I didn't just break my wrist, I obliterated it. The bone was sticking out. It was fucking horrible. But it meant that my tendons never kind of went back how they should. So I can't use my index finger as well as I used to. Typically people hold picks like that, don't they, with those 3 fingers, like a pencil. But I don't have the control in my index finger anymore. So I tend to sort of hold it a bit more like that, a little bit goofy, rest it on my ring finger. And the index finger lurks back here. So it's these fingers that I've got more control over than the index finger, which is unusual. It's usually your index finger and thumb that's got the most mobility. But due to that accident, I don't have that anymore. So anyway, I made it, around that. I was playing about with shapes that really suited my particular grip. Yeah, so anyway, that pick for me is my favourite, and it's really comfy, as well as, looking pretty, I suppose. Dave uses his middle finger a little bit more too. A bit like that, eh? Yeah, I think everyone's different when they pick. Most people kind of, as I said, kind of, I see that they're like that, hold the pick like that. But I've seen people kind of, I don't know, pick in really weird ways. But it's all about results, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you can use a lock pick to get a lock open, then you're doing it the right way. It doesn't matter how you hold the pick, does it? Oh, Dave, you weren't here earlier, so I'm going to show you this one. Are you still there, Dave? Dave says, when I make my first pick, I'm looking to think more about the width profile with the handle. Yeah, so you can make it nice and chunky. There was someone in the chat earlier that was talking about, they've got grip problems, then if it's arthritis, and they said maybe they need a custom pick. If you've got something really large like that one, if I compare that to that Ridgeback one we looked at earlier, this one's quite slim, whereas this one's really quite fat. So yeah, if you've got sort of mobility problems with your hand, bigger picks can be easier. Yes, that's the good thing about making your own custom picks, because you can make it however you like it. Anyway, Dave, I know you were here on the live last week, so this was one that I finished from last week. So last week it looked shit, looked a bit like that. But between last week and this week, I finished it all up. This one's going out to New York City. There's a lucky fella over there who I'm doing a trade with at the moment. Crazy, isn't it? Those really nice green colours. I made it out of this block here, which is it's a bit of a mouthful. I got it off eBay. It's curly, sported, dyed, epoxy infused maple. Yeah, really nice. But yeah, that's the first pick that I've made from it, all finished up. So that one's, yeah, it's heading off to New York tomorrow. The post is coming to pick that one up. Cheers to Crazy Card. It did look nice, didn't it? Come out really well, that one. Maybe this one will look just as nice by the time I've finished on it. It looks fucking horrible now, doesn't it? But once I get the sander on it next week, once it's dried, it should look pretty cool. Nice one. See you later, Tequila Dave. Thanks for watching, mate. It's a crazy card. Yeah, you stepped away and you missed the glue in. It wasn't too exciting, but yeah, it just shows the process of you know, getting it set up. The thing that I find difficult is, you know, the patience you have to have. You know, I'm dying to sort of shape that handle and get it finished, but I've just learned over the years you just got to, yeah, leave it to set fully. I have had it in the past where I've worked a pick too soon, and then the scales end up separating, and yeah, you're in all sorts of problems. So yeah, patience, I think, is the name of the game. I'm just going to leave that here for about 3 or 4 days, probably, maybe even longer. All right, so folks, thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate it. I'm going to end the live here, and I'll see you on the next one.